Somewhere right now, someone is running. They changed their name. They paid in cash. They haven't touched their old phone in weeks. They think they've disappeared. They haven't. This is how the FBI actually finds people who think they've vanished. Not through movie magic, but through a system built to make disappearing almost impossible in the modern world. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why almost every person who tries to truly disappear ends up caught by something small, human, and completely avoidable in hindsight. The first thing most people get wrong: the FBI doesn't start by looking for you. They start by looking at everyone around you. The moment someone becomes a person of interest, investigators build what's called an associate map. Every known contact, family member, ex-partner, close friend, even old coworkers. Not because they expect you to call them, because people slip. A mother wires money. A friend books a hotel room in their own name for a guest. A sibling's phone pings a cell tower in a city they've never visited before. Humans maintain relationships even when they're hiding, and relationships leave trails. Investigators don't need to guess who you'd reach out to. They already have a ranked list before you've made a single move. This associate map isn't static either. It updates continuously. Every phone call one of these contacts makes, every new person who suddenly enters their life, every unusual visit gets quietly logged and cross-referenced. Fugitive cases studied over decades show the same pattern again and again. The person closest to you emotionally is almost always the first thread that gets pulled. Financial movement is next, and it's often the fastest way someone gets found. Every bank transaction, every wire transfer, every cash withdrawal over a certain amount gets flagged and reported to federal systems. Even if you're using someone else's account, patterns emerge: money moving to a new city, a sudden spike in cash withdrawals, a card used at a gas station 3 states from where you were last seen. People need money to survive, and money moving leaves a signature almost as unique as a fingerprint. Even cash isn't as invisible as people assume. Large cash withdrawals trigger automatic reporting requirements at banks. ATMs log location and timestamp with every single transaction. And the moment cash reserves start running low, which happens faster than most people plan for, the temptation to access an old account, even briefly, becomes almost irresistible. Investigators know this. They simply wait. Then there's the phone, and this is where most people's plans fall apart immediately. Turning a phone off doesn't erase it. The last several cell towers it connected to are already logged. If you turn it back on even once, even for 30 seconds, it pings the nearest tower and gives investigators a fresh location. Buying a new phone doesn't fully solve it either. Burner phones still connect to cell towers, and if it's ever used near a location tied to your old number, or if it's activated using a payment method connected to you in any way, the anonymity collapses almost instantly. There's also a quieter risk most people never consider: the phones of everyone around them. If your phone and a family member's phone were ever in the same location historically, and then their phone shows up somewhere new while yours stays dark, that correlation alone can narrow a search radius dramatically. You don't even need to be carrying a phone for your movements to be inferred. Even avoiding a phone entirely isn't safe. Vehicles now carry their own tracking. License plate readers mounted on highways and at intersections in most major cities log every plate that passes, time-stamped and searchable. If your car matches a plate on a federal watch list, driving through the wrong intersection can generate an alert before you've even reached your destination. Toll roads are even worse. Electronic toll systems create a near-perfect time-stamped map of a route, whether or not the driver realizes it's being recorded. Digital identity is where things get even harder to escape. Almost everyone today has a footprint that's difficult to fully erase. Old email accounts, cloud backups, saved passwords, subscription services tied to a real name. Investigators can request records from these companies with a warrant. A single login to an old account, even an accidental one, even months later, generates an IP address, and an IP address can be traced to a physical location, sometimes within meters. Streaming services, cloud photo backups, even smart home devices left running in an old residence can quietly generate activity logs that get pulled into an investigation. Modern life is built on convenience, and convenience almost always means leaving a record somewhere. Facial recognition has changed the entire game over the last several years. Surveillance cameras exist in more places than most people realize, not just banks and stores, but toll booths, transit systems, even doorbell cameras uploaded to shared community networks. If someone matching your description passes through certain systems, especially in an airport, a border crossing, or a major transit hub, automated facial recognition can flag a potential match for review, sometimes in near real time. The technology has improved so dramatically that even partial matches, a side profile, a hooded figure, someone wearing sunglasses, can generate a list of possible candidates for a human analyst to review manually. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to narrow thousands of people down to a handful worth a second look. Airports and borders are considered high-risk exit points, which is exactly why they're watched the closest. Passport use gets flagged immediately if there's an active federal interest. Buying the plane ticket under your real name is essentially announcing your location before you've even boarded. Buying one under a fake identity is a federal crime on its own, and forged documents are far easier to detect than people think. Document fraud detection has become its own advanced field, built specifically because so many fugitives try exactly this. Even a well-made fake ID often fails against the databases now cross-checked at major checkpoints. Then there's the part almost nobody accounts for: boredom and habit. People underestimate how much of their behavior is unconscious pattern. They order the same food, they visit the same type of store, they reach for a phone out of muscle memory, not thinking. Investigators studying long-running fugitive cases consistently find the same thing. Most people aren't caught because of one big mistake. They're caught because of dozens of tiny human ones stacked over time. A familiar coffee order, a recognizable tattoo posted in the background of someone else's social media photo, a voice recognized by an old acquaintance in a completely different city, even something as small as handwriting on a rental application or a signature style on a lease has been enough in real investigations to connect a new identity back to an old one. People don't just carry memories with them when they disappear. They carry habits, mannerisms, and patterns that are almost impossible to consciously erase. Social media is arguably the single biggest modern risk. Even a private account, even one under a fake name, can be cross-referenced by facial recognition, by writing style, by shared photos other people post and tag. A friend's public post from a party, with your face in the background and a location tag, can undo months of careful hiding in seconds. Investigators don't need you to post. They just need someone near you to. Some fugitives avoid posting entirely and still get found this way, tagged in someone else's photo, mentioned in a caption, recognized in the background of a stranger's video posted for an entirely unrelated reason. The internet doesn't need your cooperation to expose you. It just needs anyone else's. Once there's an active federal search, the reach expands beyond just investigators looking directly. Wanted alerts get pushed into systems used by local and state police nationwide, meaning a routine traffic stop in a town you've never been flagged in before can suddenly connect back to a federal case. The officer had no idea existed until the name comes back on their screen. A broken taillight, a rolled stop sign, small, ordinary interactions with local police become the moment everything unravels. Tip lines matter more than people expect to. Publicized cases generate public attention, and public attention generates calls. Neighbors noticing something off, a landlord suspicious of a tenant paying only in cash, someone recognizing a face from a news segment. The FBI's Most Wanted program alone has led to hundreds of captures over the decades, specifically because of public tips, not internal detective work. Ordinary people, paying attention to something that felt slightly off, have ended more manhunts than any single piece of technology. International cases add another layer entirely. Crossing a border doesn't guarantee safety. International law enforcement cooperation, shared databases between allied countries, and extradition treaties mean that many countries someone might flee to are not the safe havens they once were. Interpol notices can follow a person across dozens of countries, and immigration checkpoints run their own screening against these international alerts. So how long does someone actually stay hidden? It depends enormously on resources, planning, and how badly they're willing to cut every connection to their old life. No calls, no logins, no cards, no familiar habits, no contact with anyone who knew them before. Even then, statistically, most fugitives are located within months, not years. The ones who evade capture for extended periods tend to have one thing in common. They don't just hide their identity, they build an entirely new one from scratch, in a place with far less digital infrastructure to track them. And even then, it's rarely permanent. Long-term evasion almost always requires abandoning nearly everything about a previous life, including the people in it. which is a psychological burden most people underestimate until they're already living it. Because the truth is, modern hiding doesn't fail because of one dramatic mistake. It fails slowly, quietly, one small, normal human decision at a time. A phone call home, a login out of habit, a face caught in someone else's photo, a friend who couldn't resist checking in just once. The system isn't designed to catch someone doing one big thing wrong. It's designed to catch someone eventually doing something small and human and completely unavoidable. If you want to see a real case breakdown next, an actual manhunt, start to finish, and exactly which mistake ended it, let me know in the comments.